Hello again, welcome to the final part of Terraria, but every time I defeat a boss, I spin a wheel to decide my next subclass. If you haven't seen the last few parts, I suggest watching those so this will make a little bit more sense, but with that out of the way, let's get started. Last we left off, I got summons only as my subclass, so I grabbed my spider staff and headed straight for Golem's temple. Although that definitely did not last long at all, as I quickly forgot that the lizards and flying snakes actually have a deep hatred for spiders, which very quickly led to my demise. I pushed through, however, making my way through the temple and all the way to the main room for Golem. Okay, I did not see that there. Before heading back to the temple, I tried to grab myself a few more summons, attempting to get the pygmy staff from Terraria, which didn't go well at all. As well as trying to get the blade staff from Queen Slime, which went pretty well. But after realizing how bad it is against later bosses by itself, I just stuck to the spider staff. I finally make it to the altar room and summon Golem. I also decided to try out the strategy of being upside down while fighting Golem, as this worked really well with my upside down playthrough. One thing I forgot to take into consideration, however, was that the main difference between that fight and this current one is that in that fight I was, prepared, and I had, good weapons. I also didn't box myself up and lose basically all my health trying to get away and ultimately dying to a simple snake in the upside down world now, did I? I then spent around 20 minutes trying to figure out how hoiks worked and then started the fight once more. So I tried again. I then tried Terraria one more time, but after realizing that the pygmy staff is going to take a lot longer than I thought, I made a new plan to lead Golem all the way outside the temple to my main Terraria arena and fight him there. So after leading Golem all the way to the arena, I died. However, after very kindly asking Terraria for the pygmy staff, I managed to get it. And with my new pygmy staff, I summoned Golem once more and lead him up to my arena. He despawned. Yeah, he despawned. So I instead fight him in the altar room again using the upside down strategy I mentioned previously. Fighting him in the altar room was slightly tedious as I had to constantly resummon the minions though, so they could target something else. Also, before we continue, no, I was not aware that you could right-click enemies to change the target of summons. I thought that you needed whips to change the target. I didn't learn that you could right-click enemies to change the target until after I beat Golem. Anyway, I died. No surprise there. In the next attempt, I led Golem up to my arena, managed to get both hands down. Now only the main body remains. All I gotta do is make sure I don't mess this last bit up. As I was saying, after getting both hands down as well as the head, all I need to do is make sure I don't mess this last bit up, and now that Golem's defeated, it's time to spin the subclasses wheel, and yes, we got boomerangs, let's go! If you haven't seen the last part, you might be wondering why I'm so excited about the fact that I got boomerangs again. Well, in the last part, I bought a Sergeant United shield from the Traveling Merchant, and according to the Terraria wiki, that weapon classifies as a boomerang, so I really wanted to get boomerangs before the end of this playthrough. With the Sergeant United shield, I tried to take on the Cultist, but after accidentally hitting up Clone, I ended up summoning a Phantasm Dragon, which quickly killed me. So instead, I start working on an arena for Duke Fishron. Oh. So after 20 years of being terrorized by Martians, I finally defeated the invasion, and if that wasn't enough, right after a blood moon that happened during the middle of that invasion, a solar eclipse happened right after, so I decided to wait out that event by farming Terraria and Golem. Since I didn't want my PTSD from the Martian invasion to get any worse, I took on the Cultist once again, and managed to beat him after some time. Next subclass is shotguns only, and I try to make it to the dungeon so I can get myself a tactical shotgun. However, the nebula floater's vaporizing lasers of death decided to send me back home in a very kind and safe manner. So because of that, I decided to target the Stardust Pillar instead so I could switch my subclass, and it goes down without too much trouble. Before we continue, yes, I'm counting each different pillar as a different boss, just so I can spice up the content a little bit and so the pillars aren't as boring. Spinning the wheel, I get guns only again, so I grab my Mega Shark and start farming Plantera for one specific weapon, the Venus Magnum. After farming Plantera, I got the weapon and started facing the Solar Pillar, and after many attempts of dying, fighting, fighting, dying, fighting, and dying even more, I managed to take down the Solar Pillar. Next subclass I get is the Engineer subclass yet again. However, unlike last time, I actually had a decent plan. You see, my plan was to create a box all the way in the sky where nothing could reach me, then set up dart trap in the middle of the platform with the platform going slightly off screen so enemies could spawn, and they would end up going towards the dart traps and dying. Then, after 100 enemies are defeated, I would set up spike traps to rain spikes down from the sky onto the pillar, killing it without me having to do basically anything. I actually was originally using normal traps until I realized that they were doing basically 0 damage, and that the traps in the Golem Temple would be much more useful than what I currently have. So after quickly making a trip there and snatching some of those sweet traps, I replaced my current ones, waited till all needed enemies died, and then quickly went right above the pillar to set up the needed spike traps. And after waiting a little while longer, only one more pillar remains, the Nebula Pillar. But wait, before we do that, we need to spin the wheel. Alright. Sentries. Not too bad, not too bad. Wait. The best sentries I can get right now are from the old one's army? The event where in the first part I said this? Oh well, I guess I'll leave that for when I actually need it. I really hope I don't regret that statement. Well, looks like I actually need it now, and I deeply regret that statement I made. Because there's no way I'm beating tier 3 old one's army, I start looking into different ways I can use hoiks to my advantage. I first end up trying a vertical hoik as to hopefully prevent flying enemies as well as ground enemies from getting through. However, they literally just end up jumping directly through it, completely invalidating any hope I had of that idea. My next idea was using a vertical hoik on the ground, which worked much better as it was able to keep away most of the enemies I needed to worry about. Keyword being most, as the flying enemies were still just as troublesome as before, leading to me losing yet again. I then spend the next 2 hours farming just the old one's army so I can finally afford a ballista staff that actually does good enough damage for the rest of the fight. After finally purchasing the ballista staff, I then head straight back to the nebula pillar, where I place the ballista, die, fly all the way back, place the ballista, die, fly all the way back, place the ballista, die, fly all the way back, place the ballista. After dying over and over to the nebula pillar, I finally managed to take it down, leading to impending doom. Wait, let me spin the wheel real quick. Oh, whips. This will be easy, no doubt about it. Okay, maybe I need a different subclass. Since there's only 2 bosses left that I can fight, and I'm trying to go for an all bosses run, I decided to go up against Duke Fishron first, but before that, I need a better whip, as this is just not going to cut it. So I head to the dungeon in order to get myself the Morning Star. After farming in the dungeon for a little while, along with other drops, I got myself the Morning Star, which means now it's time to face Duke Fishron. I finished the arena, and of course, like all first attempts, I die. That's okay though, because after the third attempt, I finally take down Duke Fishron, leaving me with only 1 boss left before Moonlord, as well as me needing to spin the subclass wheel once again. Getting bows only is actually not that bad for a late game subclass, as since I defeated the pillars I could grab the Phantasm, one of the final bows before the endgame. I at first didn't realize that I could craft the Phantasm, so that's why you see me using the Chlorophyte shot bow for a little while farming Duke Fishron. I spent a little while farming for Lacewing so I could fight Empress, and after getting enough I started the fight. The Phantasm allowed me to easily keep up with her thirst. I almost said thirst phase. The Phantasm allowed me to easily keep up with her first phase, letting me easily get to phase 2. However, I hadn't really had much practice with the second phase, so my first attempt ends up a failure. Second and third attempt go about the same, where I breeze through the first phase, but slip up and die during the second phase. On the fourth attempt though, I honestly don't know what even happened, as my dodging skills were through the roof during this fight. First phase, easy, no problem. Second phase, a few close calls, but I get the hang of it. And with one final shot, I take down the Empress, leaving one final boss for me to fight, as well as one final spin of the subclass's wheel. What will the final subclass be before the end of this playthrough? Will it be something like guns or flails, allowing me to easily breeze through this fight no problem? Will it be something like the dreaded engineer subclass, where I can only use traps to deal damage against the boss? Most definitely losing my mind in the process and basically doubling the length of this entire video. Remember, I used up all the rerolls I allowed myself, so if I get a bad subclass, that could essentially mark the end of this entire run. Oh, I got yo-yos. Cool. Getting yo-yos only, I equipped the Kraken yo-yo since I had previously gotten it on one of my earlier dungeon trips, and I headed straight to the Golem temple so I could start farming for solar eclipse summons, as I wanted to try to get the Eye of Cthulhu before I faced up against Moonlord. I mined out a giant arena in the temple so I could start farming for solar tablet fragments, and after a little while of farming, I start the eclipse and get the Eye of Cthulhu on my first try, which never happens. I really hope I didn't just use up all my luck now and I don't have to spend hours fighting Moonlord over and over. I used up all my luck and I'm gonna have to spend hours fighting Moonlord over and over. After the solar eclipse ended, I went to the dungeon and farmed until I was able to get myself some of that very nice Master Ninja gear. Feeling confident, I take on the Moonlord and quickly realize I am still vastly underprepared. I try again, and I make it quite a bit further, however I still die fairly quickly. Unfortunately, I used up all my celestial fragments, so that means it's time to fight the pillars again. Let's go! After that mess, I went to go get myself a rocket launcher since I needed to clear out some of the floating islands that were in the way. I once again tried to fight Moonlord, and I made it a bit farther, but I still ended up dying. I tried again, and I died again. I made some money in some really legit ways and fought Moonlord again, and well, I died again. I love the pillars. They're so fun and exciting and fun and exciting and fun and exciting. I then started farming the Old One's army again so I could get some defender medals for better armor I could use against Moonlord. It didn't work. After dying over and over and over again, I was honestly just ready to get this challenge over with. So well... Oh, that's so weird. The screen just went blank for a second. Oh, wow. Where did those potions and golden delights come from? Isn't that strange? Isn't that quite peculiar? With my totally legit buffs, I summoned Moonlord one more time, and here's how that fight went. Well, that's that then. Can you beat Terraria with randomized subclasses? Yes, yes you can. Also, yes, I do know that I did technically cheat near the end. I was honestly ready to move on to other challenges and videos such as Calamity Infernum and the Invisible World playthrough I streamed a little while back. If you'd like to see this challenge done in any different mods or similar challenges like this, then let me know in the comments, and who knows, I might get to them when I don't have 20 different videos lined up that I haven't even begun to write a script on. Well, that's about it. Hopefully you've enjoyed, and well, yeah, see you in the next one.